Hello, and welcome to another training video for Enlite POS powered by Dark. Today we're going to be taking a look at the payment history module. In this module, you're primarily going to be either looking up old payments or you're going to be voiding payments. So we're going to do both today. To start, we're going to create a payment so that we can work with it. So I'm going to head over to the pick and pay section, enter my PIN. We're going to look up our customer. Okay, so we've got our customer Eric here, and what we're going to do is just quickly pay this off. If you're not familiar with the pick and pay screen or this module, please note that there is a whole training series for the front office and there are several videos specifically around the pick and pay screen, which is the one we're on right now. Please go back and take a look at those if you're a little bit lost here. I'm going to quickly go ahead and select that this will be a cash payment. The payment method isn't really relevant to how the payments are voided, and I'm going to not print anything. Okay, so we created both our pickup and our payment, and now we're going to head over to the payment history module so that we can work with this. To reach the payment history module, you're going to want to go into the office section. We're going to enter our manager PIN. Again, remember that only store managers and store owners have access to the back office. Any other role will not. So once we're in the back office menu, we're going to just come on up here to the upper right, and just a reminder that I have more buttons displaying here than you will if you open up the system out of the box. Not everyone uses all of these modules, so as we work with you in setting up your store, we'll enable some of these. Payment history is one that is always available, so you will have this button. So the payment history module loads up into a search. We have two options when searching for invoices or payments in this module. We can search by the invoice, which was 922-1. So there's our man, Eric. We can select him and the screen loads up, or let's go back in. I can search for the customer's name. So there's our man, Eric again. So let's take a look at what happened here. So this is the customer that we're working with. This is Eric. We have his phone number, we have his email. Over here is probably the two most important fields for this screen. These are our date filters, so this is the date range for the payments that are going to appear in the list. I can click on one, I can change the dates, I can change the times if I need to, and set the two dates and times, and then just hit search payments, and it'll load up those payments. Down here, let's run through these columns really fast. This is the date the payment was received. This is the amount that was paid, payment method that was used, the invoice that the payment applies to, the drop date for that invoice, the total due for the invoice, the total amount paid for the invoice, and the balance due on the invoice. And over here is the employee who created the payment entry. All right, so we've got our payment entry loaded up. What can we do with it? So the first thing that we can do with it is if I needed to modify the date that this payment was received, so maybe I received a payment, but for whatever reason, the employee wasn't able to enter it on the day that I received it. We entered it a little bit later, but I need to backdate it to when it was actually received. I can come over here to this date field. I can just click on it. And then it works like any other date in the system. I can select the date that the payment was received. I can select the time. And then when I hit save, it'll update that. So that'll change the payment date for when the payment was received. The other thing that we can do with this payment entry is void it, and that's what we're going to do right now. So we have a big red button here that says void. I'm going to come over to this, and I'm going to say that this was a test payment. You enter whatever note is relevant, and then I press void. So now the void button is gone, and the payment has been voided. I can't undo this void. The only thing that I can do now is reapply the payment. Over here, it's going to show the note, the reason why the payment was voided, and we're done. It's easy to void a payment. So what I do want to do is go back to the pick and pay screen so that you can see what happens. So now that I voided this payment, we had picked up and we had paid this invoice. It was gone from the pick and pay screen. So now that I voided it, I can come back to the pick and pay screen. We're going to search our customer, Eric, again. And as you can see, the entry has been brought back. So now I can reapply a payment to this entry because I had voided the previous one. And note that the pick option has not been undone. So this invoice is still picked. All I did was void the payment. So the system brought back the record and it's giving me the opportunity now to reapply a payment to it. The system considers this open and is waiting for it to be paid. So now I'm going to apply a different payment method and we're just going to pay this one off. We're going to do credit card manual because that's something that all of you will have out of the box when you start the system. So we'll do it again. Do 2553, credit card manual. I'm going to do no payment receipt. The system is telling me the payment has been saved, and now we're going to go back to the payment history module. Okay, we're back in the payment history module, and I'm going to search for our customer again. There's Eric. And now we can see the second entry that is still active. So here's our credit card manual, and we just apply the payment again. I did it under a different PIN number this time, so this time it's showing a different employee as the person who created this payment entry. Down here we can still see the voided one that we had done. The system will keep track of all the payment records that come through the system, whether they're voided or active. And that's pretty much it. That's how we void payments in the system. That's all I wanted to cover in this video. We very quickly covered how to navigate to the payment history section. We covered this layout. We talked about the importance of these date filters to pull up the correct payments that you want to see. We talked about the ability to search by customer name or by invoice, and then we went in and we voided the payment, and we also talked about how we can change the date that the payment was received by clicking on this little blue link here. So I hope that you enjoyed the video. I hope that you learned something new. This was a short, easy one. From everyone here at Dark, thank you so much for your time and your attention, and thank you for your business. We'll see you on the next video.